Let me tell you a story that will make you think twice before you refuse to help others. It happened in a small street where everybody knew each other except one man. His name was Mr. Okoro. People called him the locked gate. Why? Because no matter what happened, his gate was always locked. Not just the gate to the house, but also the gate to his heart. He was the stingiest man in the whole world. As they tagged him, if he had 10 bags of rice and you were dying of hunger, he would smile and tell you, "My brother, God will provide." If you needed just 1 spoon of salt, he would say, "My salt is finished," even when you could see the salt on his kitchen shelf. Now, on our streets, we were like family. We borrowed things from each other. Pepper, matches, even cooking pots. But Mr. Okoro, forget it. He never gave anything to anybody, not even water to drink. One hot afternoon, Choma's little boy Chinedu was very sick. She needed sugar to make oral rehydration solution. Every shop was closed because it was Sunday. She ran to Mr. Okoro's house, begging for just a little sugar. "Please, my son is sick. Just more sugar to mix with salt and water. Please, sir." Mr. Okoro adjusted his cap and smiled. Choma, I wish I could help you, but the only sugar I have is for my tea this evening." She begged and begged, tears in her eyes, but Mr. Okoro just shook his head and locked his door. That evening, Chinedu's condition got worse. The boy survived, but everybody in the street never forgot what happened. It wasn't just food, even tools, buckets, or simple chair. He refused to lend anything. When his neighbor's gas finished while cooking, they knocked on his gate. He stood at the gate, holding the cylinder like a trophy, and said, "This gas is not working well. I cannot give you." Then the next day, they saw him cooking with the same gas. At first, people complained. Then they got tired and stopped asking him for anything. They just gave him space. In fact, children in the street started a game called Be Like Okoro. They would hold their hands tight to their chests and shout, "I cannot give you, I cannot give you." The adults laughed, but deep down, they knew Mr. Okoro's behavior was no laughing matter. One day, the first conflict began. It was a hot, dry season day. Water was scarce. The tap in the street stopped working for a whole week. Everybody was struggling to get water from the borehole at the far end of the street. But guess who had a borehole in his compound? Yes, Mr. Okoro. People begged him to allow them fetch just more water. He said, "My pumping machine is faulty. It cannot work now." Yet, at night, they could hear the sound of the pumping machine as he fills his own drums. The children were dirty. The children were thirsty. Old women were carrying empty buckets, praying for rain. But Mr. Okoro did not care. It was market day, but a heavy storm came from nowhere. Rain poured, wind blew roofs off, and lightning flashed. Blessing's roof broke, and her house started flooding. She ran to Mr. Okoro's place, shouting, "Please, help me keep my goods here. My house is leaking." She sold tomatoes and onions in the market, and the water was destroying everything. But Mr. Okoro stood in his doorways, dry and safe, and said, "My house is too small. I cannot keep anything here." She begged, crying. He turned his back and closed his door. By the time the rain stopped, most of her goods had spoiled. Blessing lost almost everything. One night, there was a sudden fire in the streets. Nobody knew how it started, but it spread quickly. People were shouting, "Water! Water!" Some ran to Mr. Okoro's compound, banging on his gate. "Okoro, bring water from your drum. The fire is coming." but his voice came from inside. "I cannot open the gate at this time. It is too dangerous." By the time the fire was put out, 2 houses were gone. The owners cried as they watched the smoke rise into the night sky. And Mr. Okoro, he was inside his compound drinking tea. By now, the whole street had given up on him. They stopped greeting him. Children stopped playing near his house, and people whispered, one day, Okoro will learn the hard way. They didn't know that day was coming, and it was coming very soon. The trouble for Mr. Okoro started on a Thursday morning. It was the rainy season, but that day was bright and sunny. He woke up, whistling, and went outside to check his vegetable garden. The tomatoes were ripe, and the pepper fresh, and scents of his ogbono filled the air. As usual, he was thinking of how to store everything for himself. If I dry this pepper well, it will last till next year, he muttered, smiling to himself. But as he bent to pluck a tomato, he heard a strange cough. It was deep, rough, and coming from somewhere nearby. He looked over his fence and saw Papa Ebuka, his elderly neighbor, sitting under a tree and coughing badly. Normally, this wouldn't bother him. After all, he never helped anyone. But this cough was different. It sounded weak, almost like a cry of help. Papa Ebuka called out, "Okoro, please, water." For a moment, Mr. Okoro felt a strange pull in his heart, but he quickly shook it off. "Ah, Papa Ebuka, I don't have extra water. My tank is almost empty." It was a lie. His tank was full. He turned and went back inside, but as he closed the door, he heard Papa Ebuka's cough fade into silence. That night, the street was strangely quiet. The next morning, Mr. Okoro saw people gathered in front of Papa Ebuka's house. He asked one boy passing by, "What happened?" The boy's face was sad. Papa Ebuka died in his sleep. They said he was sick and was very thirsty last night. For the first time in years, Mr. Okoro's chest tightened. He didn't like the feeling. He tried to shake it off and went back inside. But that night, when he tried to sleep, he kept hearing Papa Ebuka's weak voice. "Please, water, water." Days passed. One evening, he was locking his gates. A woman came running with a crying baby. "Please help me. My baby is burning with fever. Let me just stay inside your compound until the rain stopped." The clouds were already dark and thunder rolling across the sky. Mr. Okoro frowned. "Madam, you should go to the health center." She begged, "Just 5 minutes, please." But he shook his head. "If the baby is sick, you should not bring him here. I don't want infection." She turned and ran into the rain. Mr. Okoro closed his gate and went inside. That night, the rain poured heavily. He could hear the wind howling, but he slept soundly until around midnight, a loud knock shook his door. "Okoro, open up, fire." He jumped out of bed. Looking outside, he saw a bright orange glow in the distance. Another fire in the street. People were running everywhere. The wind was pushing the fire towards his house. "My God," he shouted, grabbing a bucket. But when he opened his drum to fetch water, his heart sank. It was empty. His pumping machine had stopped working earlier that day, and he forgot to refuel. He ran to the nearest neighbor's house, banging on the gate. "Please, give me water. My house will burn." From inside, the neighbor's voice came. "Ah, Okoro, I don't have extra water. My tank is almost empty." The word stabbed his heart. It was exactly what he used to tell people. He ran to another neighbor. They told him the same thing. The fire was getting closer. Smoke filled the air. He rushed back to his compound, trying to think. Then he remembered. Blessing had a big tank water. He ran there shouting, "Blessing, help me, please." But Blessing stood in his doorway, holding a lantern. Okoro, do you remember the day rain destroyed my tomatoes and I begged you to help me keep them? You said no. He opened his mouth and spoke, but she turned and went inside. By the grace of God, the rain came suddenly and killed the fire before it reached his house. But that night, Mr. Okoro sat alone in the dark, shaking. For the first time, he felt what it was like to beg and be refused. The next day, something strange happened. When he went to his farm, his vegetable leaves were turning yellow. His maize stalks were bending as if they were tired. Within 2 days, half of his crops had dried up. He thought maybe it was insects, but when he sprayed pesticide, it got worse. By the end of the week, almost everything was gone. He had stored food in his house, yes, but soon his gas finished. He went to buy, but the gas seller said, "Sorry, sir, our supply is finished. Try next week." That evening, he smelled delicious soup from his neighbor's house. He swallowed hard and went to knock. "My brother, can I borrow small gas to cook? I will return it tomorrow." The neighbor smiled politely. "Ah, Okoro, I wish I could help you, but the only gas I have is for my cooking this evening." The words burned his ears. It was exactly what he once told Chioma when her son was sick. Within days, his food finished. He went to the shop to buy bread, but the storekeeper said, "We have closed for today. We are closed for stock taking. Come tomorrow." He returned home with an empty stomach. At night, hunger kept him awake. He thought of all the times people begged him for just more food and he had refused. But what happened next was the beginning of his real nightmare. By the second week, Mr. Okoro's compound felt like a prison. The once proud man, with his full storehouse and overflowing water tank, now had nothing. No food, no gas, no water, and no friends. Hunger was eating him from the inside. His lips were dry. His clothes felt loose because he had lost weight. On the third morning, he woke up dizzy. His head was spinning and his knees felt weak. He checked his kitchen one more time. Only half a cup of garri remained. He poured it into a cup, but there was no sugar, no groundnuts, and not even water to soak it. He looked at the garri like it was gold, but his throat was too dry to swallow it. Desperation pushed him to do something he had never done before. He opened his gate and stepped out to beg. The first person he saw was Chioma, the same woman whose sick child he once refused sugar. She was carrying a bowl of rice. "Chioma, please, just more food, even if it's cold." Chioma stopped walking and looked at him. "Okoro, you remember that day my son was almost dying? You had sugar, but you refused to give me. That day I cried until my eyes were red. I forgave you in my heart, but I cannot forget. Sorry, I have only enough for my children." She walked away slowly, leaving him standing in the sun, ashamed. She went to the next house, a young man named Ifeanyi. "Brother, please, just one cup of garri. I will pay you next week." Ifeanyi laughed bitterly. "Pay me back, Okoro. You never lent anything to anyone. You told me last year that your things are not for borrowing. Now, I also don't borrow." And with that, he closed the door. By the afternoon, Mr. Okoro was weak. He sat on a stone by the roadside, watching children playing with roasted corn. One little boy offered him a small piece, but his mother quickly pulled the boy's hand away. "Don't give him. He has food in his house," she whispered, but loud enough Mr. Okoro to hear. This whisper cut deeper than a knife. The sickness begins. The next morning, Mr. Okoro woke up shivering. His body was hot, but his hands and feet were cold. He had no strength to get up. He laid on his bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking, so this is how people die? By evening, his cough had started. His mouth was dry, and every breath felt heavy. He tried to drink from his drum, but the little water left had turned green and smelly. For the first time in his life, fear swallowed his pride. He realized he could not survive alone. That night, there was a knock on his gate. He dragged himself out and opened it. It was Blessing. She was holding a lantern and a small bucket. "Okoro, I came to tell you. Tomorrow we are doing a community feast. Everyone will bring food to share. If you want to join, you must also bring something." He looked at her basket. Inside was roasted fish. The smell almost made him cry. "Blessing, I have nothing, please. Can you just give me small fish now? I will join the feast tomorrow." Her eyes turned cold. "When the rain destroyed my tomatoes, I begged you to keep them here. You said no. That day, I lost everything, and now you want my fish? No, Okoro. This is for those who once shared with me." She turned and walked away, the smell of the fish following her until it disappeared in the night. The next day, the community feast started. Everyone was there, laughing, eating and drinking. Music played. Children ran around. From his window, Mr. Okoro watched a large plate of jollof rice passed by. As people roasted meat and poured drinks, he could smell it all, but none of it was for him. His stomach growled loudly. He tried to ignore it, but the smell was too strong. He finally stood up and walked slowly towards the gathering. When people saw him, they stopped eating and stared. The music kept playing, but the laughter died. He cleared his throat. "Please, I am hungry. I have not eaten in 2 days. Just one plate, please." A man stood up. It was the leader of the street. "Okoro, in these streets, we share with each other, but you never shared. Not even water. Many of us suffered because of you. And now, when you are in need, you remember us." Okoro's eyes were wet. "I am sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me." The leader sighed. "Forgiveness is one thing. Truth is another. Today's food is for those who once gave when others had nothing. You are welcome to sit and watch. Maybe you will remember this day forever." And so under the hot sun, Mr. Okoro sat and watched others eat while his stomach cried. That night, lying on his bed, the lesson sank deep into his soul, but he did not know something even bigger was about to happen, something that would change him forever. The morning after the feast, Mr. Okoro woke up with a strange determination. He realized that if he wanted to survive, he had to change, not just to get food, but to truly live among people again. But how? Nobody trusted him anymore. Even when he greeted people, they looked away. He decided to start small. He took the little money he had left and bought bread, groundnut and bottled water. Then he went to the roadside where children usually played and gave them the bread. At first, the mothers came running, thinking he wanted something in return, but he simply said, "It's free, eat." The children's laughter was like medicine to his heart. For the first time in years, someone smiled at him. The next day, he went to Chioma's house. He carried a small bag of rice he managed to buy from the market. "Chioma, this is for you. I know it is small, but I want to say I'm sorry." She looked surprised, then slowly took the rice. "Okoro, I forgive you, but remember, true giving is not for show. It's from the heart." Her words stayed in his mind. 1 week later, an unexpected disaster hit the street. A huge tanker truck overturned near the market, blocking the main road and spilling fuel everywhere. The smell filled the air, and the authorities warned everyone to stay indoors. For 3 days, no one could go out to buy food. Shops were closed. People had to share what they had left. This time, something amazing happened. On the very first night, there was a knock on Mr. Okoro's gate. When he opened it, Blessing stood there with a pot of soup. Okoro, I cooked extra. Come and eat with us. He was shocked. But why? After everything I did to you. She smiled. Because last week you gave my son bread when he was hungry. You are changing, Okoro. We see it. The second night, Ifeanyi came over with roasted plantain and groundnuts. Okoro, I brought this for you. You once refused me gas, but now I want you to be different. The third night, Chioma brought jollof rice. We all made mistakes, Okoro, but when someone tries to change, we must help them. For the first time, he felt tears on his cheeks. He ate with gratitude, not pride. On the fourth day, the government cleared the road. Life slowly returned to normal. People went back to their businesses. But that night, a group of men came to the street carrying bags of relief food, rice, beans, oil, and salt. They announced, these supplies are for this street only. They were donated by someone among you who wished to remain anonymous. The people were surprised. They started wondering who it could be. The truth, it was Mr. Okoro. He had secretly sold his gold wristwatch, the only luxury he owned, and used the money to buy food for everyone. He didn't want anyone to know because for the first time he understood the joy of giving without expecting thanks. The street leader found out later and called him privately. Okoro, why didn't you tell anyone it was you? He smiled, because if they know, they will just say, he has changed. But I don't want to just change for today. I want giving to be my new life. From that day on, Mr. Okoro became the most generous person in the streets. If you needed salt, water, or even the shirt on his back, he would give it to you. One evening, as he sat outside watching children play, little Chinedu, Chioma's son, came to him with a sweet in his hand. Uncle Okoro, this is for you. He smiled and said, thank you, my boy. But the boy replied, it's okay, uncle. My mommy says when you give more. That night, those words sank deep into his heart. He realized something powerful. The more you give, the richer you become inside. And so, the man who was once called the locked gate became the open door everyone could run to, not because he had the most, but because he had learned the truth. A closed hand holds nothing, but an open hand holds the world.